Good afternoon. My name is Kira Seifler, Director of Operations for the Albuquerque Film and Music Experience. On behalf of AFMX, our Board of Directors and entire staff, welcome to AFMX Virtual Edition 2021. Before we get started with our next event, we would like to thank our presenting sponsors, AFME Foundation, Albuquerque Film Office and Film Liaison, Cindy McCrossan, Albuquerque the Magazine, Bernalillo County Commissioner Stephen Michael Quezada, Reza Terena Italia Olive Oil, Comcast NBC Universal, Real Solutions Airport Meet and Greet Service, Sunny 505, the Baker Law Group, University of New Mexico Film and Digital Arts, Larry Schwartz and Wells Fargo Advisors, Yamaha Entertainment Group, Jouska Road Productions. Thank you, sponsors, for making this festival happen. For the complete lineup and ticket sales, please visit our website at afmx.com. Now to get going with our next event, which is Block 8 with our Filmmaker Q&A. This block presented Carnival Knowledge and Shellfish, and our moderator tonight is Kay Jaz. Please note to our audience members that you will be allowed to ask questions of our filmmakers during the Q&A. Just type your questions in the chat box and we will do our very best to answer all of your questions. Please note that all the Q&As and our center stage conversations will be recorded and available online through October 11th. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator. From the basement theater in her childhood home to the stages of Seattle, New York, and Santa Fe, Kay has delighted audiences with her solo shows and improvised work. In 2012, Kay found the joys of being in front of the camera and has worn many hats on other productions as a PA, assistant director, script supervisor, and producer. For over 2 decades, Kay trained with Gary Austin, who is the founder of LA Groundlings, as well as Michael Gelman of Second City, Carol Fox Prescott, who is a New York-based international acting coach, and David Wazowski in LA. She founded Wake Up Your Work in 2003 and continues to challenge and inspire film actors in the exploration of their work through improvisational acting. Up until late 2019, she was a Seattle-based actor, improviser, and teaching artist. Since relocating to the land of enchantment, Kay has found a myriad of opportunities to grow and thrive with her new film family at AFMX. And she is one of my favorite people. So please welcome Kay Jaz.
Hello, welcome. I'm excited to be here. I get to introduce to you Alec Brown and Hunter Hopewell. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Alec Brown. He is the filmmaker, the writer, the editor, the animator, the rotoscoper, which we'll find out about, of Carnival Knowledge. Say hello to Alec.
Hello. Hi there. Thank y'all for watching.
And Hunter Hopewell is the writer, director, editor, scorer. Oh, and you acted in it too, of Shellfish. We're really thrilled to have you as well. Both of you, I'm so excited. I love both of these pieces. So I think I want to start out by you giving me a little background, each of you, because I could do it. I read the bios and maybe other people did too. But what got you from being a kid to when you went to college and you knew that you were going to go into filmmaking? Maybe you could take just a few seconds and cover that. Anyone can start. Alec.
All right, that sounds good. Well, I was born in Austin, Texas in 1994, and I really got interested in just film in general after watching Sesame Street and their animated segments. Those were really inspiring to me. The Letter of the Day, The Number of the day. Those are my favorite things. I was obsessed with them. And, you know, my family would watch, you know, we'd have Sunday movie nights, and most of the time it would consist of either Napoleon Dynamite or Raising Arizona, just because, you know, we really loved those movies. And because of that, I really wanted to go to film school, and I ended up coming under the Robert Redford Milagro Emerging Artist Scholarship in the inaugural year in 2013. And that paid for half of my tuition. So that was really, really awesome. And then I graduated in 2017 from Santa Fe University of Art and Design. Luckily, having jumped ship before the university closed, I hope it comes back soon. But I majored in film editing there. And while that has been my main source of income since then, I've dabbled in animation, directing, screenwriting, and I really just want to be a man of many hats because I like the many hats that are out there. So
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I always like to find out where someone's come from, because where we've come from has so much to do with where we are right now. How about you, Hunter?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Kay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was born in Chicago in '96, and me and my family moved to Las Vegas when I was like 2 years old. And growing up, I just started making little videos with my friends just for fun. I was always a huge Disney fan, and so I wanted to make stuff that was kind of inspired by some of my favorite Disney movies. And then, yeah, in high school, we had this really great, they called it a broadcast program, where we could do a little news broadcast, live broadcast every morning. And I got to host that. I did that for 3 years in high school. And then when time for college came around, the choice seemed obvious to enroll to pursue a film degree at UNLV. I went to the UNLV Honors College there, studied film. And yeah, while I was there, I was able to get this grant, the Johnny Brennan Filmmakers grant, which allowed me to make Shellfish with a lot of fellow students and stuff. Yeah, and then I got a job I've been working for Disney for about 4 years now as a video producer. So now I'm out here in Los Angeles.
That's great. That's awesome. There's a quote that I read in one of your interviews: playing it safe rarely results in fun, that you love. And somehow I think that applies to both of these films, Carnival Knowledge and Shellfish. Why don't we talk about how Carnival Knowledge came to be and how Shellfish came to be? So either way, you can just dive in.
Hunter, you should go first.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a little bit. I wrote a feature-length screenplay to submit to this contest they have every 2 years at UNLV called the Johnny Brennan Filmmakers Grant. And I didn't find out I got the grant until like a year or two later, when I was already working for Disney. And so my boss, he nicely gave me the time off. I had to take 4 weeks off to make this thing, gather a team, go to Vegas. Gather a team that was already in Vegas. I had to go to Vegas. And then we shot for 4 weeks. And then, as you know, it takes a lot longer to shoot a feature film, as I quickly found out. And so I took a bus back and forth. We shot for another 4 weeks. On top of that, we would just shoot on weekends when I could come into town. But yeah, a lot of it was possible because of that grant. And then Indiegogo supporters made it happen after that. And so yeah, couldn't have happened without people. Walt Disney always says it takes people to make the dream a reality, and that's definitely true.
Yeah, I recall that in Shellfish, there was a guy in the audience at the end that said a very similar thing to you.
Yeah, that kind of sums up what I really want to convey in the movie. Renolio says, Renolio, who's the filmmaker that Keller looks up to, says, without people, filmmakers like us are nothing. And that's certainly true.
That's so true. And the fact that you had over 200 people on your crew and cast was absolutely amazing. So I'm sure that's a whole nother story, how you wrangled everybody. But that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Alec?
Well, Carnival Knowledge, yeah, that is like really awesome. This sounds like a dream come true. For me, I had no plans to actually make Carnival Knowledge when I was filming, because most of the animation that you saw in Carnival Knowledge is rotoscoping, and rotoscoping is an animation technique where you film something and then basically trace what you film. And that was a really meditative process for me. But because of that, I actually didn't have, like I said, I didn't have the plans to film or animate Carnival Knowledge. I was going to the traveling carnival with my friends, and you're in Santa Fe with a beautiful sunset in the background and blinking colored lights everywhere. You're just, it's an indie filmmaker's dream. So of course you're going to film. And so as I was filming, it was already such a good day. And then that night I decided, I don't know what made me want to decide this, but I just started animating over it. And the thing that's really intrigued me when I started animating was how cool it looked when you didn't include the rides, because I didn't include the rides, I just included the people. And that was really cool. You see people just sort of floating in space and going up and down on roller coasters and such. And that was a really cool technique. And then a year and a half of animating for a pretty much a 2-minute video that actually ended up bleeding over into COVID and giving me something to do during the pandemic and memories to reflect on. And so, yeah, that's kind of how Carnival Knowledge came to be. I really just, at the end of the day, I wanted to immortalize a memory with all of my friends, and that made me feel really good.
Thank you for sharing that, because when I looked at it the first time, I had no clue on how it was made. So I Googled and looked up rotoscoping and was amazed and got really excited and thought, oh, I wish I was 20, but hey, I'm not dead yet, right? So
oh, yeah, let's all go to the carnival. Let's do it.
And so what I loved about Carnival Knowledge, for all of you out there that saw it, because there was no rides and no background, just the people. There was big people and there was little tiny people, and there was people sliding down a slide with no slide. It was amazing. And this sort of leads into the next question I want you guys to talk about, because I know you, Alec, are a musical person. Mm-hmm. You have music in you, and you as well, Hunter, that's a really big part. So how does that inform, support, explode, bring beauty, whatever you can describe of how music is integrated into what you do? And again, whoever wants to start first.
I'll start this one, because I was getting inspired just hearing Alec talk about the rotoscoping. I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to see Carnival Knowledge yet, but it sounds amazing. So I'm excited to see that. Music was the question. Yeah, when I first started out making like short films in high school and stuff, I would always I'd be writing the screenplay, and then I would be working on the score simultaneously. And early on, I decided it's a lot easier if you just own all the rights to everything. That sounds like such a clinical lawyer way of talking about it, but that was kind of what influenced it. Like, oh, this whole thing is mine. Like, and I don't have to worry about anybody, coming after me or anything like that. On top of that, though, a lot of my favorite filmmakers work that way too, where they compose stuff for their movies too. So that's inspiring to me. I think John Carpenter does that a lot for his movies. And yeah, I don't know. Shellfish is definitely a musical film in a lot of ways. Music plays a big role in it. And I'm always inspired by movies that have these themes throughout. And it's like Jaws is a very basic example, but like that, every time you hear the dun dun, that means something. So I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So like every time the two main characters in the movie are Harper and Keller, every time they have like a moment where it seems like romance is going to happen, there's a little woo, like little tone that plays. So it's like it offers storytelling on another level, on an auditory level that's kind of subconscious usually. I feel like consciously you wouldn't be really noticing that, but maybe somewhere deep down you did. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's you. Yes, Alec.
Well, I gotta say, yeah, I'm the same with you, Hunter. It's really easier to do everything when you have the rights to your music. And it's funny because so many songs and musical scores will inspire me to do things, but you can't just, you can't just take a song or a score. So this was one of my first times really working extensively with a music composer. And the music composer is actually one of my favorite music composers. His name is he's under the artist name Pleasure Corporation. His name is David Last, and he, along with Ben Wright and Brian Mayhall, composed the musical score for the exhibit House of Eternal Return here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, by Meow Wolf, which was my first ever Meow Wolf exhibit I got to be a part of. And one of my favorite score or track from that entire exhibit soundtrack was a thing called Forever and Never by David Last. And because of that, and I actually animated some of Carnival Knowledge to that, and I thought, oh well, I gotta ask David Last if he can compose the score to it. And I'm so proud and lucky and grateful that he said yes to that. And he created, I think one of the notes I gave him was, I wanted this to sound musically dissonant, like it doesn't sound, oh, I'm sorry, my cat is literally eating one of the lights that he shouldn't have. I have lights going around. Cats, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I didn't want it to sound, what's the word? I didn't want there to be really a tune that you can carry in your head after that. So I wanted something that sounded dissonant and distant, something that sort of echoed a memory and felt like something you were more reminiscing rather than, or maybe reminiscing and experiencing at the same time. So that was really fun to work with him on that. And I also got to work more with more electronic sounding scores. One of my favorite scores being Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for The Social Network. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you for encouraging all of us who are maybe beginning musicians like myself, because my husband just got me a ukulele.
Oh, cool.
And for those experienced people that know that they can integrate stuff like that in, how wonderful to be able to just sit and listen to music and be inspired how to write, or vice versa, after you've written, listening to music and, seeing what happens with the characters and what's going on. And that's really great. Oh, we've got a question here. Did any of you, either one of you guys, have a mentor who helped you in your filmmaking journey? Both are wonderful films. Great work. Thank you for whoever asked that question.
Thank you. I had a few mentors. I think the one that has been the most, the one that has helped me out the most and has given me so many opportunities is filmmaker Chris Ayer. Chris Ayer is the director of the acclaimed film Smoke Signals. And I think one of the things I really love about his work that I, at least dialogue-wise in my work, I hope to take inspiration from, is how he includes storytelling in the technique. Bye, buddy. Okay, my cat's gone. Yeah, he includes storytelling in the film itself, and I think that is, it's endearing to see characters tell stories, and not, in every case, show what is going on, which of course that happens too in the film. So Chris Ayer is probably one of my biggest mentors out there, and I'm really proud to have gotten to work with him.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Hunter?
Yeah, me too. One of my professors at UNLV is named Francisco Menendez. He's been my mentor for years now, and he's part of the reason I even went to UNLV, studied film there. He really convinced me and my family that this was, because we were like a college in Las Vegas. What are we going to learn? Gambling? But like, he really convinced me and my family that this was the right move. And he kind of, throughout every step of Shellfish, he was kind of helping me make some choices here and there. And then, and of course, my mom and dad, huge mentors to me. My dad is also a big reason why I got into filmmaking to begin with. He was always doing filmmaking more on the corporate side. He worked for McDonald's for like 35 years, but you know, my dad actually cameos in the movie. He's not the security guard at the end, but he's the security guard on the beach that is coming after us. But yeah, he's always been so supportive of me, and you know, sometimes he even shot some of my short films growing up. So yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's great to hear. And in mentioning that and his cameo in your film, that makes me want to ask a little bit more about the characters in your movie. I love their names. I love their relationships. And there was such a balance of Kruko, crazy guy, and Keller with your two brothers. And I won't spoil it for people who, well, no, people watching this have already seen it, right? I'm not going to say it though. Which will just make everyone want to see it more, right? And then your love interest and this other love interest. I mean, everything was there for me. It was like, it was so going. So I want to know, because you wrote the script. Because I think a lot of people get stuck in the script thing, and it's like, where do I go? How do I go? Where? What was the question? What was the question you had to answer yourself to be able to be free and just take off?
Thank you for that question. You know, this was part of what Shellfish is about. Is they have to make a film in under a week. And the biggest motivator for me, and I think for a lot of people, is deadlines. So for Shellfish, I had a deadline. I had a deadline for this contest to get it in, which the movie's a little autobiographical in that way. And I was like, I'm like writing, like, what am I going to write? Okay, I'll write about what I'm doing right now. And then I had the deadline I set for myself was Sundance Film Festival entry deadline. I didn't know if I was going to get in or anything like that, but I'm like, I got to get this movie edited and finished by then. So just setting these deadlines for myself, it wasn't so much a question as much as like a requirement that I just put on myself. And you mentioned the characters, and so some of their names, no one's asked me about the names before. Like that name Keller, that's just my grandmother's name was Helen Keller, no relation, but that was my mom's maiden name is Keller. So I was like, oh, that's a cool first name and a little homage there. And then Kruko, I don't even know where that comes from. That just sounds like crew cut or something. I just had I think on 30 Rock, they talk about how K is the funniest sounding letter in the alphabet. So I was like, okay, Kruko, that's kind of funny sounding. And yeah, I don't know. I could go on about that, but yeah.
Thank you. We've got a question from the audience. What advice do you have for people trying to enter the film industry? So people, I guess we're not defining young people or old people or middle people, but people in general. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't know if Alec wants to talk about that a little bit too, but yeah. I mentioned early on that I got taking every opportunity, even if you don't think you're going to get it, is like so important, because like my job at Disney, I started out as an intern. I applied 7 times to be an intern and never even got a rejection. It was just like radio silence. And then on that 8th application, when I was kind of giving up. I'm like, okay, it was the last time I was eligible. And then, I just got an email from Disney. That's really funny. Weird. Okay. I applied for something else very recently, and that just happened real time that they responded. So I'm curious to see what that says. Anyways, that could be a rejection. That could be an acceptance, but we'll find out later. So yeah, it's so cliche, but like, just keep trying. And like, even with like I'll give you, I usually don't mention this part when I'm doing a Q&A, but I was not the first choice for this grant that made Shellfish possible. I applied, I didn't get the grant. The money went to someone else. And then I don't know what happened. The pressure of making a feature film, I think, was too much for them. And so they didn't do anything with the money. And I was the runner up and I got the money. So even when things seem like all hope is lost, stuff works out and you just got to keep going. And that was pretty generic advice, but yeah, I think it's good advice.
That was advice I needed to hear, so that was perfect. I'd say my biggest piece of advice is, like, Carnival Knowledge was shot with my phone and then animated on my iPad. So I didn't have any professional film equipment to make Carnival Knowledge, let alone animate it. And so I'd say my biggest piece of advice is, if you want to make films, you have a phone in your pocket, and I'm sure it has camera capabilities. Every computer is equipped with some editing system on it, whether it be Final Cut Pro 10 or what I use, Adobe Creative Suite. But, and I guess another piece of advice is film festivals, which is kind of apropos at this point, are a very, very good way of getting your name out there. I haven't mentioned this to a lot of people, but when for the first film festival I heard back from was actually the Edmonton International Film Festival, and they said yes, which was like, I thought that was going to be a good omen. And at the end of the day, it was, because boy, that was really, really cool, especially not expecting anything from film festivals with Carnival Knowledge. But I think what was really cool, especially was, so it's an Academy Awards qualifying film festival if you win an award. Carnival Knowledge was in the animated shorts category with a short film called If Anything Happens, I Love You, which,
wow,
it was
that
its
won.
win at it won the Oscar, and it was its win at Edmonton International that actually qualified it for the Oscar nomination, which it then won. So if I'm gonna lose, like, I might as well lose to an Academy Award winner. Like, so that was like really cool. That was the dopamine boost I needed during quarantine and pandemic. I was like, oh yeah, all right.
Wow.
So that's some cool trivia with Edmonton. And then, of course, Albuquerque Film and Music Experience, which is such a great film festival, one of the best, like, just in the west of America, just in America, as well as the Sidewalk Film Festival, and which is a really great film festival in Alabama, and the Threadbare Mitten Film Festival in Lansing, Michigan, which, and yeah, so we've done a few rounds, and that's been really cool.
Well,
So get film festivals are the best thing.
yeah. So keep trying no matter what. Don't give up, because we all have our down days, our up days. And from what you both have shared, you've had community around you and people supporting you and cheering and encouraging. And that's so wonderful. Do we have time for one last quick question? Yes. For Hunter, someone is asking, what inspired you to use stop action animation?
Oh, thanks for asking that. Like I said, Disney was a big inspiration to me, so that was definitely part of it. The other part was, I feel like all my answers have been so like, like I'm a lawyer or something. But part of it was, if we had a low budget movie, what can we do to make this movie stand out? That doesn't cost a whole lot of money. And stop motion is something like, if you lean into the cheapness of it, it almost looks better. It's almost like, oh, this is quirky, which I think it is. So yeah, it was kind of three things: Disney inspiration, how can we make our film stand out, and also I'm really inspired by film like Tim Burton and Wes Anderson, and like they know how to implement stop motion with live action in a really cool way. And so I wanted to do, those are the kind of movies that I want to continue to direct. I want to be a director for Disney in the likes of them. So that's, there's no time like the present. So I was just like, let's try to make that kind of movie now. And yeah. So.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm glad we could get that last question in. And I would like to thank you guys so much for sharing your heart, your soul, your filmmaker lens. And I'm going to end with the two quotes. One I found from Walt Disney, because I thought it was so cool. Laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. And the other quote is the one you had said, Hunter, which is, playing it safe rarely results in fun. And write what you know. And wherever you are, no, what was yours, Alec? Wherever you are, there you are. No, wherever, yeah. I can't remember that one, but.
It's from Buckaroo Banzai, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. He says something along the lines of, if you ever feel bad, just remember, wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. And that's comforting.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us to meet these wonderful filmmakers. I know we're going to see a lot of them in the future. And thank you. Just thank you again for all you've brought, all you've said, and your hearts. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Kay, and thank you, Alec. That was a great conversation. I adored both of your films. Thank you for joining us today on our Filmmaker Q&A. I wanted to let everybody know that our next film blocks is at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, where we are proud to present The Sound of Us by Chris Giro. That Q&A will be, after the film, will be moderated by our own Casper Gomez. And remember, all of our Q&A sessions and center stage conversations will be recorded and available online until October 11th. Another announcement is on Sunday, September 26th at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is our awards ceremony live on Facebook. That's when we will be tallying all of our Audience Choice Awards. So make sure you go back in and vote for your favorite film. If you need a complete lineup and any other ticket sales, visit us at our website at AFMXNM.com. Until then, have a great day.
Thank you.